In today's video, I want to go over 3 common difficulties that many children of narcissists experience in relationships. Number 1, having a hard time discerning what is and isn't healthy. This happens in a number of different ways, and I just want to lay something out there, and that is that I'm just going to talk about 3 difficulties, and I'm sure that you can add many more, and please do so in the comments below. So one of the ways that children of narcissists don't really know how to tell the difference between what is and isn't healthy is that they will often confuse pain, abandonment, rejection, and a feeling of not being loved. That was my cat. Children of narcissists will often confuse pain, abandonment, rejection with love. And this happens for a number of different reasons. One of the reasons is simply because they confuse the physiological reactions they get when they're really anxious about losing someone with some sort of special bond. So they might tell themselves things like, well, if I'm feeling all of these butterflies in my stomach, which might really just be fear of being abandoned, then it must be that this is my soulmate, this is someone I have a spiritual connection with. In reality, there is a misinterpretation of the anxiety that's happening because the only reference that children of narcissists often had, or one of the strongest references, was that of their narcissistic mother, father, grandmother, or whoever took care of them, right? And if there was a whole lot of hot and cold going on, like a whole lot of intermittent reinforcement, then what that really means is that there's a bit of punishment and neglect, which then is followed by maybe a little crumb of love, maybe a nice day you have together, or maybe you get a lollipop or a popsicle today, you're going to go for a walk, you're going to do something nice. And as children, when we've been kind of deprived of love, we get so anxious to get some more of it that when we finally do, it's like our whole system lights up. And it's almost as if that tiny little crumb of love we finally do get has like 10 times the value that it would otherwise. So all of this anxiety that goes into waiting for that crumb of love is what many children of narcissists confuse with, so I'm going to get the crumb, right? I'm going to get the crumb, right? And it doesn't even cross their minds that it's really unhealthy to be waiting for a crumb and that you probably shouldn't be feeling all that anxiety. Another way that children of narcissists might confuse pain with love is that if you feel you're not interesting enough to be loved, or like there's nothing special about you and that you're always going to be abandoned either way. So if somebody gets really controlling and possessive and jealous in the relationship, you might actually think that this means that they're really trying to fight for you, right? So that's how seriously they take you in the relationship and how much they love you. And it could be really flattering when you feel like no one's ever fought for you before. And then you won't pick up on the signs of how it's really unhealthy to be that possessive and controlling in a relationship, and it's actually not a sign of healthy love at all. Oftentimes when people are controlling, it's because they know they'll be abandoned, because they know there's something different or hard to deal with about their personalities. So they try to control you precisely to limit your possibility of getting away. Even if this is done unconsciously, and to be honest, it mostly is, it is a way of kind of restricting your options so they don't get abandoned. And that can't be healthy, right? Hey guys, if you're getting any value from this video, then download your free PDF, Break the Chains, 10 Steps to Stop Your Narcissistic Parents' Control. You can find the link in the description box. So another thing that happens is that many children of narcissists don't have any idea of what's right and wrong because they're constantly invalidating themselves. And this is due to a loss of self, which is experienced on varying degrees by many children of narcissists. Imagine that your caretakers do not have the emotional wherewithal to actually identify or even deal with your needs. So you pretty soon start to realize that you have to kind of modify what you show them, because if you're too vulnerable, you might get punished for it, you might get made fun of, or you might just be ignored. You know, with time, you'll learn how to train your behavior so as to get like a better response from your caretakers. But to get that better response, you have to invalidate who you are. You have to invalidate what you really want, what you really need. As a matter of fact, you have to stop looking inwards, and you have to always keep an eye out on what their emotional reactions are going to be today. You have to actually like take that conscious awareness out of your body. So you're never actually experiencing reality from the first person. You become like this disembodied presence that is literally scanning other people's reactions all the time in order to figure out how you should modify your behavior in order to appease those reactions. And this creates this weird dynamics where many children of narcissists don't look inside themselves to figure out what they need. And this makes them think that they're always inherently wrong. So if they're in a relationship and they feel something and they kind of wish they could express it, they automatically tell themselves, shh, don't express that. Or, no, you're exaggerating. Or, come on, it's okay, it's not that bad. Maybe you're just interpreting things the wrong way. If you did this growing up all the time because you were never validated, and because when you're dealing with people who are emotionally mature and who experience deep frustration and shame, it's not going to be easy to satisfy them. As a matter of fact, if you're dealing with narcissistic parents, then you're never going to be able to satisfy them. No matter what you do, it's just never going to be good enough or for long enough, right? So you kind of start thinking that nothing you do is good enough. And you won't even express certain things to your partner because you just figure that they're not valid to begin with. So this creates this dynamic where you could see many red flags and react to them, but you see them and you don't react to them because you've already invalidated your need to react to it. And I gotta just throw something out there. Many people think that certain things really are over the top and that you should never mention them in relationships. And I would actually argue back that what makes a relationship healthy in the first place is for there to be a safe space to mention the unmentionable. Now, this does not mean that our partner needs to do exactly what we want them to do, the way that we want them to do it in order for our needs to be met, because this could be super abusive, right? But it does mean that we should be able to express what we're feeling in a neutral, non-accusatory way if we're feeling it. So I'll give you a specific example. Let's say you have borderline personality disorder and you just kind of freak out when your partner doesn't get in touch with you every couple of hours. And you know that your partner is a very busy person, but you still don't know how to regulate your emotions. And you also know that it's too much to ask them to be constantly answering your messages. But you can't do it by yourself all the time yet. So what do? Is it too much? Is it completely out of the question to ask your partner to get in touch with you because you're the one with a personality disorder? Well, I would say that, a first step would be to actually approach your partner, telling them how you feel and just expressing that, you have this abandonment issue and that you understand that they can't be on their phone all the time, but you think that maybe by talking about it, you can come to a solution or to a type of solution that you can test out and see if it does make sense for both of you without overwhelming anybody, because no one's partner should be regulating their partner's emotions 24/7. So you might talk to your partner and your partner might say something like, oh, I see how you feel. Yeah, well, I'm always in meetings and stuff. I literally cannot be on the phone, but I have many pauses throughout the day. If you want, I can definitely always send you a message when I have those pauses. Is it okay with you if I have like these pre-written messages? Because sometimes I don't really know what to say, but I'll definitely take the time to just write some things like in a notepad, things like, hey love, just, passing by to let you know that I'm thinking of you and I'll be home soon. Oh, honey, that's fine. I don't even mind if they're pre-written. I just really need to know that you've seen me. Also, what say I start doing therapy and then, in a few months' time, we can check if it's still necessary for you to keep on getting in touch with me every time you pause. See? So through a conversation, because the person can mention their need based on their sensitivity to rejection, their fear of abandonment, right? So you see what happens. It doesn't matter how over the top a request is, or how much you feel something is invalid because you're the broken one. There really should be space in the relationship to talk about a viable test for a solution. Because I say test because you might test it out and then figure out that it doesn't work at all. But then you talk it over again and you come up with another test and so on and so forth until something works. So we really should never come to the conclusion that what we feel is so over the top, or we're so broken, or we're just such hysterical people that none of our needs should be taken into consideration. So another way that children of narcissists experience difficulties in relationships is through creating self-fulfilling prophecies. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when you keep telling yourself something's going to happen. So this thing's going to happen. This thing's going to happen. This thing's going to happen. And then without even noticing it, you actually start acting in such a way as to cause it to happen. And it really might feel like it's the world that's against you and the world is just being unfair and it's just wronging you. But really what's happening is that we're setting up that situation to fail. So I'll give you an example. There are some children of narcissists who feel they will certainly be abandoned, and they'll try to test their partner out to see if they would abandon them. And they'll do it by provoking them. In their minds, in their twisted idea of love, the more abuse their partner takes, the more they're willing to fight for them, and the more they love them. But what happens is, because they believe they'll be abandoned, they'll actually provoke their partner so much that they end up being abandoned. Another way of doing this is feeling you'll be abandoned and then kind of just basically not leaving the other person in peace and demanding all of their time and attention. So you can basically squeeze out the last droplet of attention before you get abandoned. Now, obviously, the other person might get completely overwhelmed, think that there's something weird about you, and then actually abandon you. You might feel that no one will ever love you and that you'll die alone. And so you self-isolate and end up not giving yourself the opportunity to meet people and maybe forge a relationship, and then you end up dying alone. Now, the third difficulty that many children of narcissists experience is reality distortion. Reality distortion happens for a number of different reasons. Reality distortion is when essentially reality is too painful, so you tell yourself another story about what's actually going on so you don't have to feel all that pain. Now, there's a number of different ways that this happens. We have defense mechanisms whereby we actually lie to ourselves, but there's also just emotional reactions that we have that kind of transport us back to a time in our lives where we were impotent. And it really feels like we're going back to being that child or that teenager. When we have very repetitive emotional reactions in childhood, and when part of those reactions involves the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, because you live with emotionally unstable caretakers, your neurological system actually gets altered. This means that you're always on alert because you expect danger. And you're hypersensitive to certain triggers because you really want to be able to protect yourself, right? The issue is, when you do get triggered, you get transported back to the mindset of the child from the time in your life, of the child that you were from the time in your life where the trigger or the triggers were created. So you go back to feeling like you're 4 years old and powerless, or that you're 14 years old and can't defend yourself somehow. And this is what causes reality distortion, because you believe that you have the ability of a child when you're actually an all-powerful adult. So I'll just give you an example. Let's say John used to always wait for his father on the weekends so they could go do something fun. His father would say, "Hey, I'll pick you up and we'll go to the park." And he would do this over and over, but he would never actually show up. So weekend after weekend, John would just get all dressed up, get all ready to go on a play date with his dad, and he would wait for hours and hours and hours, and his dad would not show up. Now, this created this incredible trigger where he feels unworthy of love, abandoned, and rejected. Nowadays, when his wife doesn't give him attention the way that he wants it, exactly when he wants it, then he feels that he's the most worthless, insignificant being on the face of the planet. And he actually feels the emotion as intensely as he did when he was a child growing up, because he's actually reactivating the same neural pathways that were created back then. And because he interprets reality from the mindset of that little boy, he's absolutely sure that he'll be forever abandoned and that there's nothing he can do to ever get love, which really confuses his wife, because she definitely loves him and she shows it in many practical ways. It's just that sometimes she's busy with some stuff and she can't talk to him right then and there, right? We also distort reality through psychological defense mechanisms. One of them is rationalization. When you come up with a pretty fishy excuse for doing something, or for somebody else's behavior as well. So for example, "Oh, she just hit me because she was tired today," and honestly, maybe she's always hitting you regardless of whether she's tired or not. And also, even if she was tired, why would physical abuse ever be tolerated, right? But we'll rationalize it in order to distort reality, in order to be able to handle it. It might be that we feel that this is the only type of love that we're ever capable of getting. So even if there's a few punches now and then, you know what? It's okay. It's not that bad. You might keep telling yourself that an abusive partner is going to change when really you have zero reason to have this expectation. This partner has never actually demonstrated any sort of remorse or any sort of discomfort with being the way they are, and they never own up to anything they do, or actually apologize in a credible way, or show that they are making any effort to change their behavior in the long run. And yet you keep telling yourself, that's okay. One day he'll see me. One day the relationship will be fine. And this is actually another defense mechanism called magical thinking, because the only way that anything is going to be fine or get better when literally no effort is being made is if magic happens. You might also have magical thinking with regards to your healing process. You might think that, oh, whatever I got going on isn't that bad. It'll get better, when you're actually not making any of the effort to get to know yourself, to regulate your emotions, to connect to your inner compass, and to figure out what you need. Okay guys, so I know there's a lot of other difficulties that children of narcissists experience in relationships, and I just wanted to make a very short video about some of the difficulties I see. Let me know if any other difficulties came to mind. Write them down in the comments below. Okay guys, let me know how this video impacted you. And above all, I want to know, did you identify with any of the difficulties that I listed here? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to wrap it up here. See you guys next time.